like clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, I want to give a little bit more of my opinions about the Cyborgs and how I think it's going to be a little bit more acceptable when they actually do release it. One thing that we did understand is that these Cyborgs are going to be very controversial. Some people are going to hate it, some people are going to love it, and some people are just going to sit right in the middle. Me personally, I sit right in the middle. I kind of explained this a little bit in my review of the chapter when I did talk about the last chapter of the Boruto manga that did actually come out, but I want to dive a little bit more deeper into this. Now, I do want to kind of preface a lot of this with the fact that the Boruto writers, they are not necessarily strapped with a whole bunch of ideas that they could actually put out to basically go against Naruto and Sasuke. And Naruto and Sasuke right now, they have basically priced themselves out of regular ninjas that they can actually go up against. The Boruto writers right now, they're catching a lot of hate because of the Boruto Cyborgs, but it's not even really comparable to the hate that they would have gotten if the Boruto writers would have just pulled some BS up and just said like, hey, some random shinobi in the Hidden Rain village can now challenge Naruto and Sasuke, and now God level now can actually compete with Otsutsuki level fighters. That right there would have been absolutely insane backlash on the Boruto writers part. So because of that, they can't necessarily do that. They can't necessarily do Otsutsuki members, mainly because a lot of people feel like the Otsutsuki members are getting a bit stale, even though there is still a bunch of things that we do not know about the Otsutsuki clan. I think if we dive into that, that would definitely be interesting, but just introducing a random brand new Otsutsuki member is not necessarily going to be that hype. So because of that, I feel like introducing Cyborgs would probably be a very good idea, mainly because of course it's something brand new and they can actually challenge Naruto and Sasuke. Now I understand that Naruto and Sasuke, they got a little bit nerfed from the last arc of the Boruto series, but right now there is still the elites of the elites. They could still take on Otsutsuki level characters, and I believe that the Cyborgs right now is definitely going to be a very good thing for not only Sasuke and Naruto, but also Boruto and Kawaki. Now not only that, I would definitely be more opposed to this if the Boruto writers didn't necessarily build a foundation of this before in the Boruto series. From the first couple of episodes of the Boruto series, they were kind of sprinkling in some OG ninja tools. Now the OG ninja tools, they caught a lot of flack, especially because Boruto was kind of cheating in the Chunin exam. Then they introduced the synthetic humans in the arc after the Chunin exam with the Mitsuki retrieval arc, and then they went even more radical when they introduced Ao and Garo, which those two were like literally half robot. But I think in these two situations it was kind of different, mainly because Ao already came in with an established level of credibility. We already understood even before he got basically modified by the Kata organization, or excuse me, by Katasuke, he was already like low Kage tier. So I think because of that already established respect, people were kind of a little bit more lenient on the fact that he was actually relying heavily on scientific ninja tools, and also because the overall Ao arc was very good. But already building on that foundation, they introduced the Kata organization, where almost everybody, or excuse me, everybody in the Kata organization were modified to some sort of extent. Now we don't necessarily think that all of them are going to be Cyborgs. I think that a lot of them are just humans that were actually modified by the Kata organization, but regardless, we understand that they're not 100% pure shinobis, and because of that, we've already been conditioned to actually be more acceptable to these Cyborgs. So now when we get to the pinnacle of the Cyborgs, and the Cyborgs can actually compete and actually 100% beat Naruto and Sasuke respectively, I'm not necessarily going to feel like it's too bad, man, because this has been building for literally almost 5 years now. Now another important thing that I do have to stress is that I don't really think that this is going to be too long of an arc, and I know this happens with a lot of huge things that do happen in the Boruto manga. For example, when Jigen was introduced, people thought that Jigen and the Kata organization were going to stay Jigen and the Kata organization for all of the Boruto series. When Isshiki Otsutsuki was introduced, people thought that Isshiki Otsutsuki was going to be the overall big villain throughout all of the Boruto series, and now with the Cyborgs, people are now thinking that the Cyborgs are going to be 100% there for all of the Boruto series. I think this is just going to be an arc. It might be a very long arc, but if it's a very long arc, in my opinion, it's going to be a very good arc. I just don't necessarily think it's going to be too long to where it's going to consume the whole series of Boruto. To be honest, I wouldn't even really be surprised if the Cyborgs actually wrapped up even before the time skip actually did happen. In my opinion, I think it'll be a little bit too soon, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think it could possibly spill over a little bit after the time skip, and then that right there could possibly be Boruto's biggest threat to him, and of course that could be the biggest foe that he does actually defeat. But I think in the overall scheme of things, I think this right here is a little bit minuscule when we talk about the overall series of Boruto. It's not going to consume the whole thing. But now the biggest thing is going to be how the Cyborgs are actually going to be accepted by the masses. I think the Cyborgs could definitely be accepted by the masses if they seem like completely human. For example, a character like Deepa. A lot of people to this day, they really like the character of Deepa, even though he wasn't even introduced into the Boruto manga. And I think that right there is just because of the fact that he was so unique as a character, and he didn't necessarily even seem like a robot. But from what we've seen from the Boruto manga, 100% he was modified by the Kata organization, and there's definitely that possibility that he was 100% just a cyborg and he was never a human at first. As I said, because Deepa was just so unique and he mimicked the humans so much, people never really cared if Deepa was actually a cyborg or not. Just from the sheer entertainment factor of the character, a lot of fans automatically liked him. And I think these cyborgs could definitely do the same exact thing. And I actually do think that the Boruto writers are going to do the exact same thing with these cyborgs as well. Delta is going to be a very huge proponent to this. Right now, it definitely does seem like Delta is like 100% a cyborg. It actually does seem like they built Delta from scratch. But even if that was the case, Delta is still a very good character in the series of Boruto. A lot of people love Delta, and not only that, she had a very impeccable fight with Naruto. I think just because of that, just because of the sheer character of the cyborg, it doesn't necessarily matter if she's a cyborg or a human. It really just matters if the character itself is an interesting character. So personality is going to be extremely huge, and not only that, fighting style is going to be extremely huge as well. We need these cyborgs to actually have jutsu. They can't just be extremely elite in taijutsu and have miniguns basically forming out of their hands and just eye beams forming out of their eyes. Of course, Delta had the eye beams as well, but she had a lot of other things as well. Delta was a unique character. The only thing that the label cyborgs, in my opinion, should do is give them credibility about how they actually did come to be. Again, if the Boruto writers would have just said, hey, these random ninjas from like the Hidden Rain village or like another hidden village that we had no idea about now come out and now are instantly able to actually rival Naruto and Sasuke, then that right there would definitely be a problem. But I gave my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about these cyborgs in the comment section below, and how do you feel about them? Do you like them? Are you going to give them a try? Or are you just automatically turned off by these cyborgs completely? I personally think that they're decent. I'm going to give them a try. I'm going to be completely honest with these cyborgs are completely done wrong. If they're not necessarily done the best, I'll be the first person up here criticizing the Boruto writers and telling you guys where they went wrong. But it's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.